We have with us this afternoon singer-songwriter, the Alexander. I'm sure all our listeners are dying to hear your story. Shall we get into it?
Absolutely. Yeah, we
Welcome,
should.
welcome to Indie Soul Rhythms.
Glad to be here, brother. Glad to
Thank
be here
you.
with you.
Thank you. I know it's been a challenge trying to get around with all this craziness going on with the IT stuff going on
Oh,
all over the world.
it is. Yes, affecting everybody. I was affected by the flights and stuff and moving around, but we finally got this interview together, and I'm happy that we got it done.
Yeah, I'm glad too. So I'd like to start from the start and at the very beginning. So could you please just tell us who the Alexander is and where you from?
Okay, so actually been just a quick uh, bio of my entertainment life and my kind of my personal life because it's intertwined.
Yeah,
Uh, I started at a young age, and I got my first deal actually on Warner Brothers. That deal didn't really develop because of some, uh, I'll just say some miscommunication. I'll put it like that. It had nothing to do with my artistry or anything like that because, and the reason I say that is because uh, I got my second deal with the same guy that signed me to Warner Brothers.
yeah,
Right. So he saw me a couple of years later and was like, listen, man, I just need you to understand that it wasn't anything with you. It was like the people handling your business.
yeah.
We had to make a decision there. But I want to give you another deal because I believe you're talented. So fast forward into 1990.
Mhm.
Uh, I went to I went on tour with Club Nouveau, right? So that actually in '89 I started with Club Nouveau on tour in New York because their lead vocalist, I think he stepped down,
Right.
uh, and then so they needed a replacement. And by the way, I just met him for the first time a few months ago, and really cool guy, Samuel, a great singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Samuel has really good product out there. And we didn't know each other. So I finally met him um, a few months ago. But yeah, on the tour with Club Nouveau, after that was done, I ended up signing a deal with EMI Capital.
Right.
And when I did that, my first album, I had three top 40 singles with that album. But then what happened was my daughter was born, right? So, and I was newly married and I had a stepson. She had already had a boy that
Right.
I wanted to raise, right? So I was at a crossroads there when EMI dropped their black division, right in the middle of my success, my momentum. I was
Yeah.
going upward. And then I was nominated Best New Artist with Chucky Booker.
Right.
And the boys and David Peaston and Gerald Austin, I think.
Mm.
So I didn't win, but just the fact that that was my first
Mm.
album out
Mm.
and getting a nomination like that from the NAACP Image Awards on
Yeah.
NBC was a huge thing for me. So, um, but then when EMI did drop that black division, you have to realize I lost a lot right there because I
Yeah.
was scheduled to go on tour with Natalie Cole
All right.
for it was like a 2 or 3 month tour. So I lost that, and also uh, I was kind of at a crossroads because my daughter was starting kindergarten, and then uh, I had to make a decision at that point, and I decided to go back and raise my kids
Yeah.
and not continue to pursue what I was pursuing. Even though I worked my whole life to get there,
Yeah.
they were more important to me than any award or any number one record I could get. And so fast forward to now, a few years later, few years ago, my daughter came to me and said, "Listen, I know what you sacrificed. Don't think I don't know that you sacrificed that to raise us.
Mm.
And I want you to go back out there and I want you to give the people the music that you have inside of you. Don't worry about Billboard, don't worry about number ones, don't worry about any of that. Just do it." And man, it broke me down. Like, it was
Wow.
an amazing moment between me and my daughter,
Yeah.
and my son as well. My stepson is very supportive of this as well and what I'm doing. They really just kind of, pushed me out there. But she was like so adamant about me getting back out there and doing my thing. And that's what sparked the Alexander, basically.
That's truly amazing. And you know what? This is why I enjoy doing these interviews, because it kind of gives the whole picture of the whole person. Because sometimes we tend to think, oh, this is just a Johnny come lately who's trying to make it in the music industry, but
Yeah.
you've got a rich foundation in terms of
Yes.
music artistry. Um,
Yes.
so when was the first time you actually knew that you had a gift to sing and write songs?
I was about 5 years old. I started writing songs, like, little lullaby songs or whatever. And so me and my brothers, I have four brothers, but it was only four of us that actually sing. My oldest didn't sing with us, but uh, uh, we had a gospel a cappella group.
Right,
So I was doing that, and my next to the oldest brother realized that I had something a little bit different.
right.
So he started giving me songs to rearrange. So he
Okay.
would give me like a gospel song and said, "Listen, I know that it goes like this, but what do you hear? Like, write that and then bring it back to." And I was the youngest. So, uh, yeah, I realized that at about 5 years old, 5 or 6 years old, I realized that I kind of had something different.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're doing gospel, so I take it you grew up in the church.
Absolutely. And one of the things that was different about that, my father, I'm a PK, so
All right.
I'm a preacher's kid. So we didn't have instruments. We sung a cappella.
Yeah.
And it was one of the things that really taught me harmony. So hearing 3 and 4 and 5 part harmonies with no instrumentation supporting that, most beautiful thing, man, you ever want to hear. And so yeah, I grew up in the church, preacher's kid.
Wow. And what was it like growing up, under your father's tutelage?
Woo! Yeah, yeah. I love him, man. He's no longer with me, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
He was super strict, right? But a loving man. And his rules were his rules. That's kind of how I got to learn protocol. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
he taught me that. Like, you go to school, you do what you're supposed to do, you come back home, you don't make no stops,
Yeah.
you know, you don't steal, you don't do this, you don't, like, he was like the man. And he also didn't allow secular music to be played in the house,
Right.
uh, which, of course, being a kid, you're gonna find a way to listen. So
Absolutely.
my mom, the only way I got to listen to music was my mom gave me a broken radio that was stuck on one radio station. And I used that radio to kind of listen to music all night. And my dad allowed it because she gave it to me,
Right.
right? So my mom was a classical pianist. She also played jazz as well.
Right.
And so I got that gift from her. I never had a piano lesson in my life. I just at some point in high school, around my junior senior year, I just sat down at the piano and started playing songs I heard, and it came really easy to me. So
Wow.
uh, yeah, it was fun times though. It wasn't like I had a bad childhood. I had a great childhood. I had both my parents. And in this world now, that's a rare thing now.
Yeah.
To have both parents in the home. But it was a beautiful thing growing up.
Amazing. Yeah, you talked about you weren't, you weren't allowed any secular music in the house. So, what artist would you say impacted you the most, and why when you were growing up?
Oh, that's easy right there. Michael Jackson, of
Yeah,
course. And so Michael, but then all of the all of the groups like the Stylistics,
yeah,
those kind of groups, Dramatics,
yeah,
all that kind of stuff, and James Brown. So those artists like that, like when I was growing up,
yeah.
they influenced me. And then when I got in high school, Earth, Wind, and Fire took over, and Earth, Wind, and Fire and Prince, they
Right.
kind of took over like my attention, like for the music. Yeah, that was it.
Wow, we got a shout out to all those artists, and
Yeah, man, and
yeah.
and I'd be remiss, man, if I didn't mention Stevie because
Oh
so
yeah,
Stevie and the complexity of his music never sounded complex. But if you sat down and tried to play it,
the way he
it
plays.
it's very complex, but it
Yeah,
sounds so beautiful. It doesn't sound complex.
yeah. Shout out to
Yeah,
Stevie. I know he
absolutely.
recently got a citizenship in Ghana.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of work, like behind the scenes,
Yeah,
in African nations, man, especially,
yeah,
him and Michael did a lot as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Most people don't know. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, if you were not making music right now, what would you be doing?
I would have been an athlete because I'm not a big guy. I'm kind of a little guy. So, but I was very fast and very athletic. So I played football, going up in basketball, and ran track
Yeah,
in school. What really pushed me over the edge in regards to like putting 100% of my focus on music was an ankle injury in my junior year that kept me out of the playoffs. So I was like, okay, I really need to make up my mind here, like what I'm going to put. I knew I was going to do music,
yeah.
but what am I going to put my full effort into? So yeah, it would have been. I would have been an athlete.
Right, cool. And
Yeah,
what was your, you did track? Was it sprints or middle distance?
yeah. I they had what was called a 220,
Right,
and then I'd run the 100.
100. What was your fastest time?
Oh my God.
I'm competitive. I want to know what was your fastest time because I did
Uh,
sprints as well.
okay, so I'm gonna say it wasn't really fast, about maybe a 10-8, 10-8, 10-9, 10-8, something like that.
Right.
Yeah,
No, no, okay,
yeah,
no. Right. That
yeah.
no, no, that's decent.
Yeah, it's decent.
Yeah,
It,
that's
it, it
decent.
wasn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't blazing fast.
Yeah.
Because I had
Fast
some
enough to
guys running
finish. Yeah.
10-5, 10-6, 10-4,
No, no,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
And for those who don't know the Alexander, how would you describe your musical style to them?
Ooh, man. If you know anything about gumbo, have you ever heard of the food
Yeah,
gumbo?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay, so that's how I would describe my music because, man, I have so many different genres that I grew up listening to. As I told you, I had that little radio or whatever, and finally I found a way to get another channel
mm,
on the radio, but that channel happened to be orchestral,
right.
where it was just symphonies and stuff like that. And I would go to sleep on that stuff, like listening to that. So it all affected me. The R&B soul affected me. The rock affected me.
Yeah,
I have groups that are rock acts that I like as well. Rock music. I'm
yeah.
a big fan of Toto.
All
Uh,
right. Yeah,
that's not like heavy metal, but I just love their style of rock. uh, Journey,
Mm.
uh, acts like that. And I had the privilege of meeting both of those guys
Right.
uh, early in my career. Steve Lukather, who I'm a big fan of, the guitarist for Toto,
Hmm.
and Steve Perry, the lead vocalist for Journey.
Hmm.
Um, Met them both in Cherokee Studios in Los Angeles. So, uh, yeah, that's how I would describe it. It's just a mixture of everything, but it does come out R&B soul.
Yeah.
Uh, but I have like pinches of other stuff in there. You know, you have to really be paying attention to notice it. But yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Mhm.
that takes us to you've got a single "So Good," which
Oh man,
which has been on the charts for a while here in the UK, and
yeah,
I believe it's also available on all digital platforms.
it is.
Yeah. So can you talk us through what this song is about and what inspired it?
Okay, so you know, this is like it's an international subject, but a lot of times we don't really write songs about the the way your woman um, plots and plans to keep things interesting.
Yeah.
So we talk about what actually happens, but we don't talk about the leading up to. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
foreplay, if you will.
Yeah.
So like, uh, so I just wanted to write a song, and this song. The crazy part about it is this song came to me when I was working out, and the melody came, and then just the lyrics just started to flow like so easily. I said, okay, this is a song I know I have to put in the forefront because it just came too natural, like to me. And then I went to the piano and started working on it, and it actually came out the way that I heard it. Like,
Mm.
and if you talk to other writers and like that is the holy grail, if you would, or the
Mm.
euphoria. When you hear something
Mm.
and then you when you start working on it, it comes out exactly the way you heard it. Like
Mm.
that is the greatest feeling ever. So yeah, So Good is really a dedication to women who uh take the time to keep things spicy, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, in a
Yeah.
relationship. And it's just to acknowledge that. That's
Yeah.
that's what it's about. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I like that. I always like asking this question because at least it makes people understand what the song is about because there's so much out there. And sometimes you listen to a song and you're wondering, what is this all about? But
Right.
yeah, I like the message in it. Yeah. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yes,
um
indeed.
I've got a couple of fun questions.
Okay.
What's the best compliment you've ever got musically?
Musically.
Yes.
Wow. My arrangements.
Mm.
Like I get a lot of compliments about that, about my arranging,
Mm.
especially vocals, background vocals and stuff like because I do my own background vocals mostly.
Mhm.
Uh, on this album I did. Um, but yeah, that's the biggest compliment
Yeah.
or the most frequent compliment I get.
You get, yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And the tone of my voice.
Yeah.
It that they say because I you know I hear it, but you know a lot of us as singers we don't even really like to hear ourselves
Yeah.
sing.
Yeah.
But I hear that a lot from people that I have a different kind of tone. It's an artist here named Erin Stevenson who I love dearly. She's a background vocalist for Justin Timberlake.
Right.
Um, and but she's also her own artist. She's a solo artist herself.
Mm.
That's what she always tells me. Like your tone is like is different. Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Is there any person you would trade places with for a day?
No,
And why?
no. You know, because the one thing that I realized,
Yeah.
becoming a grown man and a man of a certain age, you like the things you see, like they say perception is reality, but it really isn't.
Yes.
Uh, the perception you get of a person's life is one thing, but behind the scenes, you have no idea like what's really going on
Yeah.
there. So I wouldn't want to be bombarded with something that I'm not familiar with, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, those are wise words. So, sticking to that kind of inspired word,
Right.
what advice would you give to any aspiring new artists who are thinking to go independent?
Okay. Glad you brought that up because we, you know, of course, as artists and producers and writers, we're in this battle with, Spotify and Apple
Mm.
Music and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Now, what artists really need to understand is that they really didn't do you any favors.
Yeah.
I know that the artists that couldn't get deals on major record companies, they look at it as a win. And it to a degree, it is a win. But you also have to understand that the powers that be are always about 5 to 10 steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
So when you had the CD makers come out, you are allowed to duplicate CDs and kind of move them on your own.
Yeah.
Well, when they saw that, they realized that they were about to lose the industry. So that's when they moved to the digital platform. They were already working on that several years before it actually transpired. Like when we were just selling CDs, or you could go to a record store and
Yeah.
get CDs or wax or whatever. And then they moved to the digital platform and they said, let's give everybody the music for $10 a month. So then my question is, does a stream match up with a spin on radio?
Yeah.
And the answer is no, because I know because I got checks from ASCAP and from my publishing company, and
Yeah.
when I was getting spins on radio. So the point I'm making here is that don't fall in love with the stream.
Yes.
Don't fall in love with it, but there's a place for it. But I have something in my hand right here. My boy Bobby Washington out in Florida,
Yeah.
he's the one that turned me on to this, and it's the digital USB cards.
Right.
My album is on this card, and this allows me the ability to do direct to consumer
Right.
versus um, putting the whole album online
Yeah.
and all the digital platforms. Now I just put my singles there, and that's how I kind of introduce the album.
Right.
And then if you want the album, then you can order the album, um, or you can come to one of my shows and I can do a hand-to-hand sale that way. I prefer doing it that way. So that would be the advice that I would give to
Right.
new artists. Don't fall in love with the streams. Use it as a promotional tool
Yeah.
to introduce yourself to the public. And once you do that, when you put your full project together, whether it's an LP or EP,
Hmm.
then put them on a format that you can do direct to consumer sales.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really good advice. I'd never heard of this digital USB, but that's brilliant. I know I've been reading stuff, especially to do with Spotify, that
Mm-hmm.
people are getting so many streams, but they're getting peanuts from those streams.
1 million streams equals $4,000.
Mm.
1 million spins on real radio would translate to somewhere around $250,000.
Mm.
That's the difference.
Yeah. Wise
So
words. Yeah. I'm glad I asked that question. So I hope there are people listening who are thinking of going independent to think about it. Um,
Yes.
so what can we expect from you in 2024?
Well, I hope to be down there with Mooch at some point, doing a live concert.
Yeah,
So I'm saying this on air. So
yeah,
I'm speaking it into existence that I will be brought there to do a show with some other artists or whatever, some festival, some night or whatever. But
yeah,
yeah, I'd love to come there and perform. But right now, so good is the action.
yeah.
Really just putting all my efforts into that. Also, the single before that was Unpack,
Mm,
and it was with Valerie Watson, the formerly vocalist of Club Nouveau.
yeah,
So those two singles right now, mainly So Good. I'm working that, and I'm also shooting a video for that as well, for So Good.
right,
Should be ready in a couple weeks. And right now I'm just touring and doing some spot dates and stuff here and there.
right.
Um, yeah, we're just gonna work the album. It's called 90s R&B. The album is called 90s R&B, and yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at the Alexandr Experience, and that's Alexandr Alxandr. That's Alexander with no E's.
Yeah.
Take the E's out of Alexander, and you got me.
Yeah. I'll
The
put the
Alexander
information
Experience.
on the YouTube stream as well.
Beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful,
all the information there. Um,
beautiful.
is there anything else you haven't done in your career that you still want to do?
So I'm doing. I say touring, but it's really not touring. It's really more spot dates.
Right.
But I did not get a chance when I was at the height of my early career. I didn't get a chance to actually do a tour,
Yeah.
like, with two or three artists or whatever. That is something that I really would like to accomplish. And I also, this is all a challenge for me.
Yeah.
I want to be nominated again for an award, uh, because I feel like I didn't have a chance to like really parlay that into great things
Yeah.
on my first nomination. So those two things, yeah, touring a real tour and being nominated for an award.
I believe all things are possible. So
Absolutely.
yeah, all things are possible.
And if I could give a few shout outs before we
Absolutely.
part,
Absolutely.
shout out to my daughter, Pooh, my son, Pop. Uh, Shout out to some of the people that worked on the project. Valerie Watson, uh, who is now with a group called 22 in the Scene,
Right.
um, and to um, my bass player, Lloyd, who is the bass player for Boys to Men. He's actually the bass player for Boys to Men. He played bass on a few of the cuts on LP.
Mm.
Uh, my road manager, Willie Evans, WR. Uh, my guy, Patrick Taylor, who is the manager for Adina Howard. But those two guys they are my go-to guys for everything that I do.
Right.
Uh, and yeah, that's kind of it.
No, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you with us here on Indie Soul Rhythms. We appreciate your time. Your artistry means a great deal to us. This platform is here for you anytime, and I wish you the very best in 2024. Before we let you go, though, could you please do us the honor of introducing your track, So Good?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce my second single off the 90s R&B album from the Alexandr, So Good.
Thank you.